All right, everybody asks about flood issues in New Smyrna Beach, and we're going to talk about it and drive around today. So as you can see, I'm standing in water all the way up to my ankles. It has been raining nonstop for 3 days. It has calmed down just a little bit. We were sitting in our car waiting to do the intro because it's been raining so hard, so we just got a little break. I'm in my bathing suit and my boating shirt because I'm going to get wet today. We're going to go out, we're going to drive around neighborhoods, check it out. I've done a video behind the camera before talking about flooding, but I've never done it actually during flooding scenarios. So listen, if you're new to the channel and you want to learn everything there is to know about living in New Smyrna Beach and surrounding areas, you've come to the right place. My name is Matt Ekoff. I'm a local real estate expert, and I'm joined by my beautiful wife, Rachel Ekoff, and we're here to share everything from the best neighborhoods to the hottest spots around town and some of the bad things. Listen, I get phone calls, emails, text messages, Zoom invites every day from people just like you wanting to move to the beach. So whether that be in 2 days, 20 days, or 200 days, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to help you move to the beach. Please make sure you hit the like button and subscribe so you get all the updates and notifications about everything New Smyrna Beach and surrounding areas have to offer. So again, as you can see, I'm in ankle deep water. We're right off the North Causeway Bridge right here. The fort's right behind us. If you want to turn around just real quick to show, the fort's just right there. Canal Street's just right here, and this is the Intracoastal. And you can see it. If this boat wasn't tied up securely, this thing could be floating over here. The water is literally coming over. It has been raining nonstop for 3 days. This is not a hurricane. This is not a tropical storm or depression. This is just a 3-day rain. We're in October, mid-October, and it's been coming down. So instead of being behind the computer screen today, I wanted to go out and drive around some of the neighborhoods that we talk about and show you some of the flooding areas. And I'm going to get on the map and show you some of the flood risk zones as well and kind of where we're going. So let's get started. Let me just point out, this whole street looks like crap. This is one of the most expensive streets in all of New Smyrna Beach to live on. This is North Atlantic Avenue. This street typically isn't known for having flooding, although you can see my car kicking up a good amount of water right now. You can see these concrete, I don't know what you'd call them, slabs, but they're putting in a major drainage system here on North Atlantic, which is why the road is all messed up. And it's not for North Atlantic, because North Atlantic actually doesn't flood, but it is for, if you can see down, it goes down onto Beacon, which is a dirt road still, which is known for flooding. But North Atlantic has to take all of the equipment and the machines and the pipes and the generators and things like that to pump the water. And so it makes it really ugly. So they're putting in this multi-million-dollar drainage system on North Atlantic. It's supposed to be done, we're in October right now of 2025. It's supposed to be done in February of 2026. So we'll see if we get done. I actually have a listing on this street, and it's one of the biggest deterrents on. I have to let people know, hey, this street doesn't normally look this ugly, but as you can see, we are surrounded by the biggest houses in New Smyrna Beach, which are extremely elevated. So no way those things are freaking flooding unless the Lord decides to have another flood, which he's promised us not. This is our last beach entrance, which is Beachway. So you won't have any more beach entrances in North Beach. And again, just look at the elevation of the houses here. And I want to point out this one, which was a tear down. Holy moly, that thing is going to be huge. New Smyrna Beach Construction's doing that one. But again, construction does make the street look pretty ugly, and it does affect. And look at this water here we're driving through. Let's go down Beacon, or maybe we can go down Beacon, maybe we can't, because this car does not set up that high. But Beacon is the lowest street in North Beach, although the houses are pretty raised there. Now I want to mention, we're not in any kind of tropical storm. We're not in a hurricane right now. We're not in anything. It's just been a rainy year, and we're in hurricane season, although there are no hurricanes out in the Atlantic right now. This is just a couple days of rain. But you can definitely see where the water is on Beacon.
It's hard to see it because Beacon is a dirt road. Yeah,
Beacon's a dirt road. So I want to point out an interesting fact. New Smyrna Beach is very developed and a lot of new houses and stuff like that, but there are some dirt roads still in New Smyrna, and they have a meeting once a year for the people that live on those dirt roads to vote to have them paved or not, and they continue voting against having them paved, and the reason why is for traffic. They don't want people speeding up and down the roads. And so they vote against it. So the dirt roads help traffic, and they continuously get voted down on to pave, which I think is a cool option to have, that you can choose if you want your road paved or not. So North Beach is one of the most elevated areas in all of New Smyrna Beach, and it's been coming down hard for days now. And so I thought, why not get out and go around, and let's go to some different areas and look at it, because if you're going to flood, you're going to flood right now. This is just as bad as a hurricane. I mean, that might sound extreme, but I'm not playing around. I think we've had more rain in the last couple days than we did for Ian or for Milton, and it's just continued to drop on us. We're going to look at some areas that are higher, and then we're going to look at some areas that we probably won't even be able to drive through because my car sits pretty low. But after several days of constant rain like we're having right now, and tree limbs coming down and stuff like that, and the wind, there's some spots right here and some spots that we just drove through in North Beach, but North Beach is pretty high and dry. So let's see what we can find in the rest of our adventure. So here's one part. I do know that during Ian, these two houses flooded. You can see how low elevated they are. You can see the standing water. Now we are in North Beach. I was just talking about how North Beach is the highest elevated, and it is, but that still doesn't mean there aren't some areas. So you can see here, I'm going to drive slow for these people's sake.
Their whole driveway. You can see the water rippling now because you just...
Look at this though. If I drove fast through here, I'm going to push all that water down, and I don't mean to.
Yeah.
All right, so we're on Esther right now. Rachel, can you film the street for just a second?
Yep.
So you can see how small the street Esther is. In 1970, they converted this. This was actually a dirt walkway for all the people to walk right to the beach. And in 1970, they paved it. And it's definitely a highly traveled street. We are one block off of Flagler Avenue, so we're right here. I have this house right here, this pink house listed off market, that is a 1909 two-bedroom, one-bath home. And actually, he's the person that told me and showed me the newspaper article from 1970 when they were paving this. But this used to be a walkway for all North Beach to get right to the beach. Pretty cool. All right, we're on Flagler. I'm gonna have Rachel show you. I think we have actually some flooding on Flagler Avenue right now. I don't know what it is. It doesn't look like it's flooding, but the street is shut down. I'm gonna go around and see what's happening. Again, you can see palm fronds and tree limbs down in the streets. It has been raining hard. I know I've done another flood video before, but I was sitting behind the computer and I was showing you flood zones. So that's why today we wanted to drive around and actually get out so you can see for yourself. All right, so now we're on South Atlantic Avenue. We are right off of Flagler. In fact, if you can see the flashing lights up here, that is Flagler Avenue. And to my right, where that car just turned this direction, is the ocean. The ocean is literally right here. And I want to show you Columbus.
Underwater.
Columbus is underwater. All right, I hope I don't ruin my car for you guys. This is South Atlantic Avenue right here. Currently no hurricanes, no tropical storms. Well, it's South Atlantic Avenue. Sorry guys, I'm not ruining my car for even my car alarm is going off saying I don't have a lifted vehicle. And so this is part of living in New Smyrna Beach. I love you guys. I appreciate the viewers all the time. I appreciate the comments. Appreciate the people that have used me for real estate. But you'd have to buy a really, really, really expensive house to replace this vehicle. So, but again, you can see how much water there is out here. That's crazy. There are cars, literally cars turning around because of how much water is there. All right, so we're gonna go over the South Causeway Bridge to the mainland, and we're gonna check out some areas that are no-go zones for sure. Now, I don't know if I'm gonna do my video before or after this, but I'm gonna get on my computer screen and I'm gonna show you on maps where not to move and where we are doing this drive-by. So we're going over the South Causeway Bridge now and going to the mainland. All right, so we just went over the South Causeway Bridge. We're coming up to Live Oak, so we have our small hospital right here, and then we have Canal Street, just about 2 blocks this direction, about a quarter mile this direction. We're gonna go over the railroad track. We're on 44. I'm gonna bet you money that we're gonna come up over this, and if I'm wrong, then I'll edit it and you won't even know, and I'll win the bet anyway. So we're gonna go over this, but I'm gonna bet you money that around Publix or a little bit after the Publix on the mainland, it's going to be underwater just like it was on South Atlantic Avenue, because during hurricanes and big storms, that's an area 44 that does shut down. I don't know what they're going to do about that, because it is bad and it's been bad for a really, really long time. And I don't know how you close the main road getting in and out of New Smyrna Beach down to reconstruct it. So that's something I'm sure on the city's agenda, but we're going to come up this direction and see what we see. And hopefully we can get over 44, get around somewhere, because I want to try to get to Venetian Bay and show you some spots that are low-lying, even in some new construction zones, and they're red flags to me for sure, and I'm not going to be a big fan of showing those properties to anybody because of how low-lying they are. All right, we're gonna drive around Corbin Park. We did a video here not that long ago, and right while we're filming, I'm gonna reverse on the road. I know this is completely legal, but there's nobody else out here. That's pretty scary. That's pretty scary stuff.
And to think it's not even a hurricane, it's just rain.
Yeah, just like Rachel said. Now, I am very casual today. My bathing suit and my flowery shirt, because I figured I was going to get wet on a rain video. But yeah, I figured there's no tropical depression. There's no hurricane. It's a scary thing when we get these big rainstorms. And it's the number one thing people ask me when they're moving to New Smyrna. Even people from Orlando. I have a couple right now. So as I said, we've done another video in Corbin Park, and the thing that's bad about this area is that it does flood on the streets and it floods in the yards. But as you can see behind me as we're passing houses, the houses are highly elevated here in Corbin Park, and they've been here for a long time, so there's not a huge risk. It's just that yard is going to turn into that pool. But it's a negative if you want to live here, because it could be a risk to get out. I keep saying this, I'm going to probably continue saying it. There is no hurricane right now. There's no tropical depression. This is just a really bad storm that's been sitting on us for a couple days. But again, Corbin Park, you can see the water in the yards. I'm going to let Rachel turn around as we're coming up to some places that I'm seeing. All right, so as we're driving and we're seeing things, I actually showed this house that we're getting ready to pass right now. And I talked about their wanting to be them and not their neighbor. You can see how much water is getting in their yard, but you can see how high it is. Now, their neighbor is much lower than them. So I would be nervous about what situation their neighbor is in right now. But this is Corbin Park, high and dry on the houses, not high and dry on the roads for the yards. But as you can see, super mature landscaping, super big trees. This one would be a rough street to live on, or a rough neighborhood to live in during the hurricane season or during a bad hurricane, because, you know, a lot of limbs be coming down. I mean, you can see up here on the street, just the palm fronds and things like that. I mean, we're not really dealing with much right now. Okay, we're back inside, dried myself off, quite a wet day. It's something else out there. Again, we're not even experiencing a hurricane right now. In fact, we're in middle of October and we haven't had a hurricane all season. So it's very, very rare, but we've had a ton of rain. In these last 3 days, it has come down hard and it hasn't stopped. And so that lack of any kind of break does affect the draining systems in some of the areas. And so it is really important to know what areas to stay in and what areas to stay out of. And so I don't plug myself a lot. I really don't think I do, because I'm not overly aggressive salesperson. I want to do what people, you know, I want to serve people and I want to serve clients, but I also want to give them facts. But I'm going to tell you, moving to New Smyrna Beach is not something where you need to get an out of area agent. You do need to get an agent that lives in New Smyrna Beach, because even though some of the areas might say flood zone X or X500, they might not be X or X500. FEMA might not have been here recently to update that, or FEMA might not know. They might just see a whole area. But with some of the redevelopment that's going on and some of the new development that's going on, it is important to know an agent and know what streets are good and which streets are not good, and what areas flood and what areas don't. So it's important for me also to get out in the streets and out in the rain and drive around and see, because again, new development's happening all the time, and redevelopment, teardowns, and new buildups, and that affects everybody. So that's what we did today. We got out there, we drove around. I'm going to get my ugly mug off the screen, and I'm going to go to our map, and I'm going to show you where we drove around today and kind of just talk a little bit about each area. I'm going to try to keep this as quick as possible, but I want to inform you guys, this is a flood video, and I want to let you know, what to look out for. So I'm going to get off screen. We started off today right around here. This is about where I live. We came and we went around and up to North Atlantic Avenue. Now, North Atlantic Avenue is high and dry. There are some areas that there's a couple really, really low spots, but it doesn't really affect, especially the houses that are on the ocean. Those are super, super high. But I will say, over in this area right behind North Atlantic Avenue is Beacon. Beacon is a dirt road, and some of the houses are lower than the actual road itself. And I will tell you that on some really, really bad storms, and including today, there are some houses that will get a little wet inside. And so you got to watch out for Beacon Street. It's a great street, but there are some low-lying areas. So we came around this way. We took North Peninsula back. Nothing on North Peninsula is too bad. We came down here. We cut in about right here on Lincoln. And Lincoln has a couple low spots on it. In fact, I was driving and I felt horrible because there were some people standing out by their house, and the water was all the way up to the lip of their driveway, and the driveway was downslope to the house, and my wake maybe had pushed a little bit of water over, and I felt horrible. They were standing out there with sandbags, probably trying to move things as the rain came down. So I felt horrible, but again, I got to get out there and I got to look at some of this stuff, and I drove slow enough. Hopefully nothing happened. So anyway, we came down here, we swung around another side road like this, and then we tried to come up Flagler, and for some reason it was closed down. I don't know why, because Flagler really doesn't get a lot of rain, except for, not a lot of rain, of course, gets a lot of flooding except for Flagler Tavern and then across the street at Peanuts. And in fact, there's a video not that long ago that was on the news of Peanuts underwater, and they're actually serving drinks, and people are standing in ankle deep water. It's terrazzo, which is my favorite floor in the world. And so, yeah, they were standing on the terrazzo, probably 2 or 3 inches of water down while they're drinking beers. We came this way, and then we came up South Atlantic, and we looked at a couple areas. Now, I will tell you, there are a couple areas right in here that are low lying. Central Beach, for the most part, is pretty high and dry, but there are a couple spots, and we did see some and even drove down a couple of the streets. So then this is where we came down right here, and I actually had to turn around right here. I had to do the loop because I knew the water was high there, but I know also they've been really working on the draining system, but it didn't work. It wasn't working. There was a good 1.5 foot of water, 18 to 24 inches of water, easy. I had to turn around because my car is a little bit lower, and there was no way I was gonna be able to get through there without ruining the car. So apologize that I don't have a huge truck and I couldn't get through there, but I had to turn around right here at this area. It's always really, really, really bad. So what you do is you go down. These are usually the numbered streets. This is Beachside South, is all of this area right here. Normally what you do is you're going to come down one of these streets, and you're going to take Saxon back over to get on 44. So we turned around, we got back on 44, came up here, and then we came down to Corbin Park. Now, Corbin Park, let me talk about this for a second. We've done a video in there before. I really like Corbin Park. Super mature trees, super mature landscaping, really big, oversized lots. And I'll tell you who's really good for Corbin Park is boat lovers. Boat lovers and people that have boats, it's great because you have such huge lots and they are high and dry for the most part. Now, the streets do kind of get flooded and you get a little bit locked in sometimes if you have a really, really bad storm. This wasn't too bad. We could see some areas, and in fact, we drove by a house that the front yard looked like a lake. But it's good for boat enthusiasts because you have big property. You have a lot of space to put boats and park RVs and things like that because the house is a lot larger. So anyway, we drove through Corbin Park. We went down here, came back up, came back around, and then we came up 44. Now, usually 44 from about right here to about right here is locked because the road gets really, really, really underwater. And so on Hurricane Milton, which was our last big hurricane that we've had here, this actually area of 44 was shut down completely because it was about 3 foot underwater. There's no shops, there's no restaurants or anything like that that would be affected by that, but the street does get bad. But today it wasn't that bad. I know they've been working on the draining system, so it wasn't that bad at all. We came down here, and what I was actually expecting when we pulled in here, I was expecting the new section of the Palms to be a little bit wetter than it was, but I know that they're actively building there right now, and they're working on that because they had some really bad outcomes during one of our last really big storms. So they've rerouted some of the draining issues that they've had in there. So we were driving around this area and it wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. So then we went up through the rest of Venetian Bay, up here, down Pioneer Trail. We checked in the new development Ardesia, which we've done a video in there before, but I always like to look in new developments during the really heavy rainstorms to see what they're doing. And they have dug so deep, the trenches and where they're going to put the man-made lakes, and they built up the houses so high. That place was, I mean, the ground was wet, of course, because it's been raining for 3 days constant, but the draining was awesome. So Ardesia is a really, really good spot. Houses range from $550,000 to $800,000. Taylor Morrison homes are really, really nice, and they're doing some great incentives right now, like half off lots, $15,000 in upgrades, and buy downs on interest of 4.1%. So really, really good deals going on in Ardesia Park. So I wanted to drive by there because Pioneer Trail, you never know. So we continue to go down Pioneer Trail. Now over in this area, you never know what you're going to get. You're really on the backside of Sugar Mill. You never know what you're going to see. You saw a little bit of flooding down here in this area. It wasn't a lot. We came down here, down in this area, and then this is really where I was expecting to see things bad. This area right here, I'm saying X, not for X500 or a flood zone X, which would be good. I'm saying X for stay out. Stay out of this area. Do not live here. This is bad. Turnbull Bay, which you can just see a little bit right here that runs through here, looked like it was about to overflow. The streets were saturated. The houses were, if they weren't a little bit underwater, they were getting ready to be underwater. Stay out of this area. When you see houses over here, and I have clients, I have people that say, hey, check this out. This looks like a great deal. Yeah, it looks like a great deal because it floods every time it rains. Okay, stay out of this area. We drove through here, and just like I expected, it was all underwater. All these back streets, it was not good. We actually ended up coming down this way so we could get back on 44 and go back home. As we were down across US 1, and we were right here next to the South Causeway Bridge where the marina was, and literally the intercoastal was overflowing. So pretty nuts. Anyway, wanted to go through all this. Didn't want to take a lot of time. My job is to inform you and make sure that you know where to move. And this is why hiring a local agent that knows the streets and can say a couple houses on Lincoln and a couple houses on Florida, and there's 1 or 2 houses on North Atlantic, and Beacon is a dirt road, and South Atlantic is going to go underwater. So take Saxon. That's why it's important to work with a local agent. I don't plug myself a lot, but I'm plugging myself now because out of town agents are not going to know that. Even from Daytona Beach or Ponce Inlet or Port Orange or Edgewater, maybe Edgewater might know. Edgewater was completely underwater. There was no way we were going to be able to go over there. We've been watching on the news for a couple days now that Florida Shores is just completely underwater. Mayor was out there. It's been all over the news, all over in the Orlando news. So Edgewater, maybe they would know about the stuff. But I'm talking about agents. But Orlando agents, Winter Park agents, they might be great real estate agents. They probably are. But they're not going to be able to name these streets. They're not going to be able to tell you these specific flood areas, even if it says Flood X or Flood X 500. Anyway, wanted to just go through this real quick. Hopefully I didn't take a lot of time, but hopefully it was educational. So I'll get back to the video. So look, if you are looking for somebody, an agent that does know the area and can name you the streets and can tell you the price points and tell you the new developments like Ardesia Park, then I want you to call me. I want you to email me. Please reach out to me and let me know, because I do want to help you. That's why I do these videos. I do these videos not because I want to be on screen, because I do not want to be on screen. I want to help you figure out where the best place is for you to have your forever home, or have your vacation home, or have your investment home, or maybe just have your temporary home while you're looking for another home. Whatever it is, if you're looking for for a home, you're looking for property, I want you to reach out to me. That's why I do these videos. All right, so I hope you enjoyed our video today. We got to do a little bit of driving around. Got to show you some of the areas that do flood. We had to turn around completely because the car was going to be underwater if we didn't. We're finishing our video on a street that's getting a little bit of water. As you can see, again, about ankle deep. Like I started the video, it hasn't got up to the houses yet, but you can see, I don't know if you can or not, but see some sandbags on some of the doors behind. This is pretty standard for New Smyrna Beach during really heavy storms, especially that sit for a long time. So unless you live here, you really don't know what it's like here when it's raining. This is why I talk about trying to plug myself. I talk about not using out of area real estate agents. If you get somebody from Winter Park or Orlando or from Daytona Beach, you know, that's okay. That's great. They're probably great agents, but they don't know New Smyrna. They don't know the streets. They don't know the areas specifically that are going to flood. And I do. And so I want you to call me and I want you to ask me questions and I want you to know that I'm never going to show you a house that's in a flood zone unless you say, hey, I want to see this house specifically, and then I'm still going to tell you this is in a flood zone. This stuff does come up, but unless you're here during these times when we have rainstorms for 3 or 4 days, you're going to have no idea. So listen, I get phone calls, emails, text messages, Zoom invites every day from people just like you, whether it's asking questions or want to looking at houses or want to just start the search or want to know what areas to not look at. So listen, I get phone calls, text messages, Zoom invites every day from people just like you wanting to move to the beach. So whether that be in 2 days, 20 days, or 200 days, please don't hesitate to reach out. I would love to help you move to the beach. Not in the water, but to the beach. Until next time, thanks for joining us.